It was a gloomy grey day with occasional rays of sun breaking through, causing the yellow leaves to glow. The wind gusts whirled the leaves upwards. People were bustling around and the city station was filled with the scent of perfume and gasoline. Missy was rushing to get to work, running past the train station and reminiscing about the time she had spent living there for a few days. Although it had only been a year ago, it felt like an eternity. Back then, Missy was a happy graduate who had come from a remote village to the city with dreams of entering medical school. Despite studying diligently and aspiring to become a doctor since childhood, her knowledge fell short for admission. Mrs. Mother had raised her alone since her father's passing, when she was only 4 years old. Gradually, people began to leave the villages. The local stores, pharmacy and polyclinic were gradually shut down, and the population loss led to a catastrophic reduction in job opportunities. Even in schools, the enrollment rates continually declined. When Missy started first grade, she had 18 classmates. By the time she reached last grade, she was the only remaining student. Everyone else had left the village with their parents. Once in the city, Missy realized that she would never return to the village and would do whatever it took to rescue her mother from that place. The city lights fascinated her, and she fell in love with the vibrant urban life. However, it was challenging to establish herself there. She felt as if the city rejected her and wanted to send her back to her small, forsaken village. Mrs. Mother could only afford to pay for her stay in an apartment for 10 days, while she took her exams. With her good grades and high graduation score, Missy was confident that she would be accepted into medical school. But she was disappointed when she found out that she didn't make it. Her mother's funds were depleted because Missy had bought some clothes in preparation for her new life to blend in with the city crowd. Upon learning that she didn't secure a spot in the funded program, Missy was terribly upset. For now, you can enroll as a fee-paying student and eventually transfer to the funded program. You just need to prove yourself, her teacher advised. But we can't afford the tuition fees, it's too expensive. My mother is a single parent. We live in a village. Missy cried and stormed out. The elderly professor shook his head with compassion. He knew that several privileged students had been pushed into the funded program as sponsors' beneficiaries. We have witnessed the demise of a talented professional right before our eyes. It was you and me who killed her dreams, he exclaimed, removing his glasses. The 45-year-old director of the medical school snorted contemptuously, saying, "That's how life is now. And by the way, it seems to me that she was just playing the sympathy card. It's ridiculous." Missy didn't hear this conversation. She went to collect her belongings, tears streaming down her face. Today was the last day that she could afford to stay in the apartment. The new tenants had already moved in their belongings. So what now? Should she return home? Missy was determined to find a way out, and she called her mother decisively. "I'll work this year, Mum, and next year. I'll definitely get into medical school. I'll read books and help you with money. I mean, the salaries here are so high." "Honey, everything is expensive there too. Where will you go?" "It's okay. I'll be fine. Don't worry, okay?" Missy hung up the phone and called the landlady. "I need to stay a little longer. Maybe I can sleep on the balcony for a while. I'll only come in at night, and I won't disturb the new tenants. I have nowhere else to go." The elderly landlady responded curtly. "How do you expect that to work? I have tenants renting the apartment for 6 months, waiting for you to leave. They have a family. Don't push it. Pack your bags and go home. You can try again next year." Missy cried once more, but she refused to give up. She approached the family renting the apartment and asked them to let her stay, promising to pay them and offering to sleep on the balcony. Once again, she was met with a rude rejection, accompanied by mockery. Missy was naive and rustic, but she had memories of a close-knit community where everyone helped each other. Even during the village flood, they sought shelter from a stranger who generously opened his doors, offering them his own room and sleeping on the sofa himself. Unfortunately, people were so different in the city. With her belongings, Missy wandered the streets, her funds dwindling. She approached every store and stall she passed on her way to the train station, asking if they had any work available. Unfortunately, the answer was always no. Finally, at the train station, Missy approached the ticket booth. "Where are you going?" asked the weary cashier. Missy sighed. "Nowhere, I'm sorry." With her remaining money, she bought herself some juice and fried potatoes, then settled into a chair for the night. The next morning, Missy set out once again, searching for a job. She realized that there was no turning back. There was nowhere to retreat. Throughout the day, she knocked on numerous doors, only to be met with resounding rejections. The day ended in tears. She cried for an hour at the train station before falling asleep. Hungry and exhausted, she woke up early the next morning. "Girl, I've noticed you here for a while. Has something happened? May I help you?" A young blonde woman in a white leather jacket towered over her. She seemed like an angel, a guardian angel. "I want to bathe and eat, but I don't want to return home, and no one will hire me. I don't even have money for a train ticket anymore. I have no money for anything," Missy sobbed, pouring out her troubles. The woman smiled at her. "I work as a cook at a restaurant. I can take you there for now. We have a back room where you can rest. We also have a shower for the staff. You can help with mopping the floors. The waitress position is already filled." Missy couldn't believe her luck. She had been searching for a job tirelessly, and now this kind woman had appeared out of nowhere and offered her a way out. "But I'm still 17, Missy said. "It will come out eventually. They didn't want to hire me because of my age." "That's fine. You can work without a license for a while. Okay? Don't worry, we won't cheat you. It's a good restaurant, and the staff is great." Missy followed the woman in the white jacket for a long time, until they arrived at the restaurant. As she stepped inside, Missy realized that she wanted to stay. And so, a girl from a remote village found a job as a cleaner. When later one of the waitresses went on maternity leave, Missy took her place. The team welcomed her warmly. However, there was one troublesome person who felt the need to meddle in everyone's affairs, but Missy simply nodded obediently. She disliked conflicts and tried to avoid them at all costs. A couple of months later, Missy met a wonderful young man. Paul was a 20-year-old son of a wealthy businessman. It all began with a chance meeting. Missy had served their table at the restaurant, and one of Paul's friends had given her a sleazy compliment. Missy blushed, and Paul promptly shut him down, telling his friend, "Shut up." Missy appreciated Paul standing up for her and smiled, but she didn't say anything. After the friends left the restaurant, she found a wallet on their table. Inside was a note with a phone number and a request to call if the wallet was lost. Missy immediately dialed the number and was greeted by Paul. "Thank you. I'm so absent-minded that I could have left my head behind if it weren't so firmly attached to my body," he joked. "I wouldn't have been able to return your head to you because you can barely make a phone call without it," she replied with a smile. That same evening they met in the park. Paul had purposely waited for her there, while Missy was on her way home after her shift, heading to her tiny room that she had rented after a month of living in the back room of the restaurant. Paul was standing by his car, and when he saw Missy, he offered her a ride. The girl felt flustered, but liked him, so she accepted. It was the first time something like this had ever happened to her. She had never dated anyone before. "Renting a room?" he asked as they stopped outside the dorm building. "Yes. Is it that obvious that I'm not from around here?" Missy blushed. Paul shook his head and grinned. "It's just that this building is usually where people who study or come to town for work live. A friend of mine used to live here." "Ah, I see. I could have been a student too, but I didn't get into medical school. and now I'm working. I don't want to go back to the village where I come from." "Yes, the villages are dying out. You know, I'd like to live in the countryside. Fresh air, beauty, a starry sky." Missy laughed. "You only know about the countryside from movies, apparently. In reality, life there is a huge plot of land that has to be weeded, planted and ploughed. Everyone keeps cows to sell milk and survive. Chickens, ducks, geese, manure. Do you know how to deliver a cow?" Paul laughed. "I guess you're right. This is not how I imagined life in the countryside." They got to talking and stayed up late that afternoon. Paul took her phone number and called 10 minutes after Missy got in her room. And so began their romance. Paul wooed beautifully, though he was very secretive. Once Missy saw him in town with a beautiful blonde with legs from the ears. He didn't notice her, although Missy stood at the bus stop and waved to him. That evening, she asked him who he was with. "You're mistaken. I wasn't there at this time," he lied to her. Missy nodded, thinking she might have been mistaken. But a couple more months later, she saw Paul again in the company of this girl. But that meet was face to face. "Missy, meet my acquaintance Camille. Camille, this is Missy, my girlfriend." Later, when they were alone, Missy tried to find out why he had lied to her the first time. But Paul never admitted it, continuing to insist that she had mistaken him for someone else. That triggered the doubt in her. One day, Missy habitually entered the restaurant. She put on her uniform and began to deliver orders. Toward noon, someone ordered a medium-rare steak. The smell made her instantly sick, and Missy quickly ran to the restroom. The other two waitresses looked over at her. "Is she pregnant?" one asked. "Yeah, she's been throwing up for weeks now. She can't decide whether to tell her boyfriend. I don't know why, he's rich. He'd take her out of that work if he found out, and she'd be fine," said another waitress. "Yeah? Well, why hasn't he got her out of here if he's rich? Maybe he doesn't need her that much." At that moment, Missy appeared behind them. This time, she managed to contain her bout of nausea. She washed her face and left without acknowledging her co-worker's conversation. The thought had crossed her mind too. Paul was too secretive. He gives her gifts, courts her, but she doesn't know much about his family or friends, except for a few. He won't let her into his life. Maybe it's too soon, but they've been living together for over 6 months, and she's expecting his child. She needs to tell him as soon as possible. That evening, Paul, as usual, picked her up in his car after his shift. The other waitresses who walked out with her looked at the car with envy. Missy didn't pay attention to those looks. She didn't measure happiness by material things. She simply wanted a family and understanding, and she desperately sought that in Paul. "I need to tell you something," she began. "Don't tell me you're breaking up with me," Paul said playfully. "No, quite the opposite." "What? I'm breaking up with you?" "No, you're not. I'm pregnant." Paul's expression changed right away. There was a pause. Missy waited anxiously for him to smile, while Paul stared off into space with a distant look. "Are you sure?" he asked. Missy nodded. He forced a smile and hugged her. Missy couldn't understand his emotions. Something wasn't right. He wasn't happy. She sensed it immediately. "This is so unexpected." "Why? I thought couples who spend nights together are supposed to be aware of the possible consequences." Paul shook his head. "No, it's not that. It's just so unexpected." "For me too." Paul drove Missy to the dormitory, and they sat in the car kissing for a long time. That evening, he expressed his desire to introduce her to his family and consider moving in together. Missy was happy, but she also had doubts. She felt that something inside Paul was not right. She feared that he might ask her to postpone the pregnancy. She wouldn't have gone for it, of course. She naively expected him to propose and introduce her to his loved ones immediately. But instead, He simply said it needed to be done and left. Missy waited for over a month, but Paul started appearing less frequently, using business as an excuse. With each passing day, Missy's doubts grew stronger. "I've been waiting for a month. Will you ever introduce me to your family?" she asked bluntly when Paul came to pick her up from the restaurant. His colleagues were already asking if they were going to get married, and she always lied to them, feeling nervous about it. "What's wrong with you? Is it hormones? I've already told you my mum is sick right now. It's not the right time," Paul responded defensively. "What does that have to do with anything? You found out about the pregnancy over a month ago and did nothing about it. Are you planning to leave me? Why didn't you tell me the truth right away?" Missy questioned. Paul pressed his lips together and replied, "My family is none of your business. You and your baby are my concern. We don't need to involve anyone else. I'm with you every day. I help you. I come when you call. Isn't that enough for you? What more do you want?" Missy shook her head, got out of the car, and walked home alone. Paul pressed on the gas and drove away. At home, Missy remembered that she needed to schedule an ultrasound appointment. The doctor had advised her to do it a month ago, but she had been procrastinating. She found a clinic that provided ultrasound services for pregnant women and scheduled an appointment for the upcoming week. Days passed, and Paul didn't call again. The first snow had already fallen outside, but it quickly melted, as is typical for November snow. Missy left the house wearing a light jacket and a cap, realizing that she needed to buy warmer clothes for the winter. Her jacket was already feeling tight, as she had gained 3 kilos. She knew that in a few months it wouldn't fit at all, and she would be freezing. Unable to wait for the bus, Missy called a cab to ensure she wouldn't be late for her appointment. The cab driver promised to drive her back quickly. As they drove, they encountered a traffic jam caused by an accident. Only the paint and a headlight were damaged, but the drivers were yelling at each other. "I know another route. Should we take it?" the cab driver asked. Missy nodded, but suddenly along the side of the road, she noticed a man in tattered clothes, holding a 2-year-old child. The man was desperately trying to hitch a ride, but no one was stopping to help. "Please pull over here," Missy requested. The cab driver snorted and said, "Are we really picking up this homeless guy? No way." Shocked by the driver's indifference, Missy insisted, "He's holding a baby. Please stop. I'll pay for his ride." Reluctantly, the cab driver made a disgruntled face, but complied with Missy's request. "Get in," he said, and immediately asked the stranger with the child where they were going. The man gave him the address. "Do I take you first, then him?" the cab driver asked Missy. She remembered that there was not much money left in her pocket. "No, I'll walk from here. It's not far. I know the way. Take him, please." She paid for the stranger's ride as much as the driver asked and got out. In fact, it wasn't a long distance to walk. The chauffeur remained silent, despite his displeasure at having a man in a shabby jacket in his car. He immediately assumed the stranger was a member of the League of Local Bums, although he did look nice despite his scruffy appearance. The man was tall with black hair, clear brown eyes and symmetrical features. Missy smiled at the man and the boy as a farewell and headed to the clinic. She almost ran there to avoid being late, but she ended up being 5 minutes late regardless. She entered the office out of breath and feeling dizzy, not feeling well. When the doctor turned to her, Missy arched her eyebrows in surprise. "Is that you?" she asked. Sitting in front of her was the same man she had put in the cab with the boy. However, he now looked neat, wearing clean clothes with slicked back hair. His name tag read, Dr. Ron Hines. "Don't you recognize me?" Missy wondered. "I got out of the cab, and you walked in there with the little boy," she said, smiling. "You're mistaken. I have been here since 8 this morning. I didn't even go to the lunch today. And I don't have a baby. The shoemaker without boots, you know? I recently got divorced, so there is no opportunity to have a son in the nearest time." Missy came closer. She couldn't believe her eyes. No, it was definitely you. Your exact replica. I never mistake people's faces. I could swear on anything that it was you. The man smiled. I believe you. I've had that happen to me too. I once stopped a girl who was an exact replica of my sister, and only after looking closely did I realize it wasn't her. It wasn't just similar, Missy insisted, but obediently lay down on the couch and let the doctor do his work. She was already late enough, and now she was filling the man's head with her nonsense. Maybe she was mistaken. The doctor performed an ultrasound, staring intently at the monitor, while Missy lay there looking at him. No, it was your exact replica after all. Or have I completely lost my mind with this pregnancy? She exclaimed. Usually, patients ask me if the baby is doing well. Dr. Hines smiled. Is everything okay? She suddenly became startled. Yes. Is this your first ultrasound? Yes, it is. Then I'm excited to tell you that you're having twins. Mrs. Eyes widened. Wow! I've always wanted twins. I met your twin and found out I'm having twins. Missy didn't know what she was saying. She was nervous and her mind was jumbled. The handsome doctor continued to smile. I congratulate you. It's good that it doesn't scare you. In my experience, raising two isn't that hard. They will always play together. The doctor suddenly became serious and started to fill the result paper. Missy realized that she needed to talk to Paul urgently. After receiving the conclusion, she said goodbye and was about to leave, but suddenly the doctor called out to her. Missy, tell me, did this man have a mole right here on his neck? Missy smiled. Yes, he had a mole, and you didn't, but that's the only difference. Honestly, he looks a lot like you. The doctor appeared confused. The thing is, my own brother disappeared last spring. He was a businessman and got in some sort of issue with some criminals. He just disappeared, like everyone else who crossed their path. Scott was 2 years older than me, but we looked very much alike. We were even mistaken for each other sometimes. The only difference was this mole. So he may still be alive. That's quite a story. Yes, I think you should go to the place where the cab driver dropped him off. I heard the address. The doctor immediately called a cab and went to that address. Meanwhile, Missy went home. On the way, she kept thinking about her situation. Why is Paul acting so distant? Doesn't he realize that they're going to have a baby now? A little miracle with their facial features, or rather 2 babies. At home, after taking a shower, she called Paul. Sorry, I'm busy right now with work. We have a meeting. I just wanted to tell you that I had my ultrasound. But Paul hadn't finished listening, and there was a short beep on the phone. Missy sighed. What should I do? The young woman went to bed, and in the morning, her co-workers asked her about the ultrasound. So, how's it going? Asked one of them, named Caroline. She was very attentive and supportive towards Missy, more than the others. Unfortunately, Missy didn't know that Paul's mother had been paying her for information about her son's girlfriend for a month now. I'm having twins. I can't say their gender yet, but I think they're going to be boys. I don't know why. What about Paul? He doesn't know yet. It's a busy day at work and he's never home. Missy realized that maybe there was no job. But that version sounded better than the truth, which she had long since guessed. Missy didn't see how Caroline, after talking to her, stepped aside and dialed Paul's mother's number. She told her everything. Thank you, Caroline. Keep up the good work. And I won't be in your debt, you know that. The waitress hung up the phone and put on a fake smile. That same evening, Paul had a conversation waiting for him at home. When were you planning to tell me about your pregnant girlfriend? His mum asked him. Paul didn't know what to do about the situation. He thought of telling his mother, but realized that she would hardly understand and accept a fiancé with a different social status. Mum, she's nice, really. I wanted to tell you, but I haven't fully processed what happened myself. You do? You just don't want the responsibility. You're not ready. I'm sure this lady just wants our money. No, Mum, she's good. Since you know everything, I'd like to bring her home. She's been waiting for me to do something for a long time, and I've just been chickening out, afraid to tell you. But now that you know, there's nothing to be afraid of. She's carrying your grandson under her heart." Paul's mother, a woman in her 50s, was very thin and always dressed up. Paul didn't even remember what his mum looked like without makeup. "Paul, are you out of your mind? I told you not to get involved with low-class fools. She just wants our money. She got some certificate about pregnancy somewhere, and now she's bragging about it to everyone. How do you think I found out about it? You won't see that girl again. Do you hear me?" Paul slapped his hand on the table. All his life, his parents had made decisions for him. He wanted to fight back for the first time in his life. "She's carrying my baby. I'm not leaving her. I'll cut you out of the will. You'll be as poor as she is. And let's not lie to ourselves. She's just another girl after our money. She's not a girl worth going against your family for. If you rebel, I'll tell your father, and he'll just take her away. You know how Dad solves problems." Paul shook his head. Don't tell him. I've heard you." Then he blocked Missy's number on his phone and breathed a sigh of relief. He was actually relieved. He wasn't ready for kids and a family himself. It just happened. He couldn't say it directly either. He didn't want to see Missy disappointed in him, saying again that he wasn't a man. Let it be better this way. She would understand everything and deal with it herself, and he would continue to live as if nothing had happened. Missy called for a few days. Then she became desperate. Paul's family was well known, and it wasn't hard to find their house. She decided that she would find him anyway and talk to his parents. They must be dreaming of grandchildren. She's carrying 2. Missy thought that his father and mother would listen to her and talk some sense into their coward son. She hoped that they would help her, support her, and find her a good clinic. After all, multiple pregnancies are very difficult. "Hello, my name is Missy," she said as she stood on the threshold of their mansion. Mrs. Goldsmith, Paul's mother, opened the door for her. "I know who you are, and I know what you're going to say. It's not too late to get rid of it now, honey. You can't carry twins anyway. I'll give you money for your trouble." Mrs. Goldsmith handed Missy a thick envelope. Missy was shocked. She jerked back from the money. "What are you doing? I'm going to have a baby. These are my children and your grandchildren. You'll want to see them later. How can you say that? I don't need anything from you, but we're family now." Mrs. Goldsmith laughed. "What are we? Family? Are you on medication? I'm not going to be related to every low woman my son decides to sleep with. Yes, he's guilty, but you're good too. There are pills that can prevent that kind of outcome, and since you decided to do something as stupid as giving birth, it's your own fault. Just know you're not going to make it. I know everyone in this town. I've got the courts and the hospitals under my thumb. You can't prove you're related to us. The tests will be mixed up. Your neighbours will give me the testimony I want, and you'll end up in jail. Do you understand? Your sons and daughters will be raised by other people, and you'll go to jail if you try to file for child support or get a dime from us. Take the money and run for the clinic while it's not too late. You disgusting redneck." Missy backed away, realizing she had nothing more to say to this woman. She turned around and walked away. Mrs. Goldsmith loudly slammed the door behind her back. Missy walked home, thinking about how scary it was to have children with a man like Paul. What if they grow up to be monsters like their grandmother? After all, she is their blood relative. She stroked her belly and thought that she would not let her children be like that. She decided she would raise them right and everything would be fine. Even maniacs can have children with angelic hearts. And this woman is just poor, terribly poor, though fabulously rich. Missy texted Paul that she had been to his place and that his mother had kicked her out. She wrote that she was expecting 2 children at once and was not going to do anything else. Missy waited for a reply for a very long time. But in the morning she realised that she was all alone. A couple of days later, Paul's mother came to their restaurant and sat down at the table that Missy was serving. "I came here to talk. You might not have understood me. I want you to get rid of the kids. I can recommend my doctor to you. I'll make arrangements, and he'll do everything to the best of his ability. I've done it 4 times myself, twice before Paul came along. I assure you, you can have more children. I have no intention of harming you, but you are not fit to be my son's wife and the mother of my grandchildren." Missy was really scared, and she regretted getting involved with this family. "I won't do that. They're only my children, but I promise you that Paul will never hear about them again, and neither will you. I don't want anything to do with you. Let's just say that they're not your grandchildren, and that Paul's not their father. Let's assume that I cheated on him, and that these children are from another man. I understood you well last time, and will not create any difficulties for you." Missy lowered her eyes. Mrs. Goldsmith was not satisfied, but this option was still better than nothing. "If you change your mind and come looking for money when you give birth, remember what I said. Your kids will grow up without you, and you'll rot in jail. Understand that. You'll tell Paul the kids aren't his if he comes. Do we understand each other?" Missy nodded. "Then bring me a coffee, please, a cappuccino, if you can substitute sugar. Just make sure it's hot. I hate cold coffee." The woman smiled charmingly, and Missy thought that she must love her son very much to be so protective of him. Or does she love money more? She returned to the kitchen. "Bring her coffee, please. I don't feel well," Missy said. She went out into the backyard to catch her breath. It was scary. Scared of raising 2 little ones by herself. Scared of what her mum would say. She'd be probably scolding. She was also scared of the fact that she may have to return to the village for a while. Missy finished her shift and went home. From that day on, she began to plan her life without hope of anyone's help. Upon learning of her daughter's pregnancy, her mother cried out, "No, I can't believe it. You'll be alone for the rest of your life. How did you manage to do that? Why don't you think about termination, since that woman offered you a good clinic?" "Mum, no way. What are you talking about? Those are your grandchildren. I'm having twins. I've always dreamed of it." "But you'll be all alone now. How are you going to raise them? The 2 of them. And who's going to marry you with 2 kids? Do you want to be alone forever?" Missy sighed. "Mum, the thing is, I'll never be alone again now. I'm going to have kids. And if I don't find a man who accepts my children, then I don't need him. For some men, their own children are a burden. But for others, other people's children are not a burden." Missy began to save money for the time when she would no longer be able to work. It was necessary to pay for a room. It was a good thing they introduced child allowances, which support mothers during pregnancy and after childbirth. She would not be completely without money in such a difficult situation. Time passed. Her mother accepted that everything happened as it did. Every day she called Missy and inquired about her health, and she had already started to pack baby clothes. In the village, when people learned that Missy was expecting a baby, they started giving her baby clothes. They gossiped, of course, but they helped. Meanwhile, Paul had courage and caused a scandal at home. "I like this girl, Mum. How can you not understand? We'll do a paternity test. She'll sign any papers, a prenuptial agreement. She doesn't want anything from us, believe me. Why are you so adamant? I can't think of anything but having kids. I can't get it out of my head. Don't you understand?" Mrs. Goldsmith smiled indulgently. "You've always been like that. You've always brought all sorts of trash home. Cats, dogs. If I didn't throw them out, we'd have a kennel instead of a house." "Missy is not a dog. She's pregnant. I should at least help her. Money's not a problem, is it?" "And we'll help anyone you sleep with. If this keeps up, money's going to be a problem. I didn't work hard all these years, working my ass off, taking out the competition, for you to start throwing money around." You don't know what it's worth. If you get anywhere near that girl, you'll never see her or hear of puppies again." Mother sparkled her eyes and went out, clacking her heels. Paul was left alone in the room. Puppies? Is she having twins? However, Paul did not dare to go against his mother, but stopped talking to her, and she decided to make Missy's life harder out of anger. She talked to the restaurant manager, pressured him to fire the pregnant waitress. "I don't know what you've done, but a big shot has asked for you to be fired. That God forbid me get involved with them. I'm sorry, Missy, but you're fired." She cried, "But you can't! You can't fire pregnant women! You can't!" "I can't, but they threatened me. They said that I should fire you under the article so that you wouldn't find a job in the city afterwards. They're mighty people, Missy. All I can do for you is to warn you and offer to resign. Understand, if I refuse them, they'll dismiss me, put another man in my place, and he'll fire you anyway." Missy sighed. "I'll sign it. Okay. I'll give you a bonus and pay you 2 more months in advance. I don't want you to have money problems. Just don't tell anyone about it, okay? It's off the record and just between us. And then you'll go on maternity leave. You'll be fine." "Thank you." Having signed the documents and received a substantial sum of money, Missy went home. She was terribly offended, sorry to part with her colleagues. She would have left soon anyway, but now she was not ready for it at all. The director was kind enough not to leave her with nothing. She was walking down the street when suddenly she saw that man in an old jacket. He came out of the store and was counting money. In his hand was a bag in which a loaf of bread and milk were clearly visible. Missy almost ran toward him. "Wait! Wait! Wait for me!" He stared at her in bewilderment. "You don't remember me, I suppose?" "No, I remember. You helped me to get to the doctor with my child. I owe you, I guess," he stammered. Missy furrowed her eyebrows. "No, I didn't do it for that. I just wanted to tell you that I saw your brother. He's looking for you. You must meet him, certainly." "Brother? What? I don't have a brother." "I guess." Then he sighed and told Missy that over a year ago he was found in a dumpster. He had an amnesia. He remembered some moments, but most of his life was completely forgotten. The police turned him away, thought he was homeless. He had a big bruise on his head. He had a problem with kidney, and that was very swollen at the time. The officers thought he was just a homeless man drinking and asked him not to interfere with their work. "I don't remember my name, but now my name is Josh. I was sheltered by a kind woman. She lived poorly herself, but she took me in. I helped her look after her child. She was over 40, had a late birth. When she was pregnant, she was told she had cancer. She refused treatment, said she'd have the baby. And when she did, it got worse. She was living her last days and was very lonely. And when she met me, she decided to help. She wasn't afraid to let a stranger into her house. She has her own apartment in an old building on the outskirts. We live there now with her son, Tommy." "Oh, I'm so sorry. But let's check my guess out. Maybe you'll find out who you are, where you're from. I have a number of the clinic. I'll call right now, okay?" Josh shivered. It was cold and windy outside. "Tommy is waiting for me at home. I left him alone. I can't stay right now. You call. If your acquaintance really wants to see me, then come." And Josh named his address. Josh left, and Missy decided that this day could not be so bad. She herself would improve it, at least for someone. "Good afternoon. May I hear Dr. Hines?" she asked. 15 minutes later, a large black SUV pulled up in front of her. Inside was the doctor, and Missy quickly got in his car. By their way, Missy elaborated on the meeting with his potential brother. "You know, if it's really him, I'll owe you for his life. If you don't mind, I'll be the godfather to your kids, help you with everything." "What if he's not your missing brother?" Missy asked. "All the same, I'd like to help you. My offer stands. God himself sent you to me." Soon they rang the bell at the shabby door, of the cold entranceway. When Josh opened it, Ron's face changed. "Is it really you? Alive?" He hugged his brother, but Josh was only embarrassed. "I guess I should remember everything now, but I don't remember anything. I'm sorry. I don't remember you at all." "But I do." Ron and Missy came in and had a long conversation. Little Tommy instantly fell in love with Missy and took her into his room to play. Knowing his story, the girl felt sympathy. In addition, the maternal instinct in her was already awakened. Meanwhile, the brothers were talking in the kitchen. Ron showed some photos where they were together. He also said that Josh's real name was Scott. "And you've known Missy for a long time?" Josh asked. He asked to call him that because he was already used to his name. "No, we met at the hospital. She's expecting twins. She came to see me the same day you met. She's a good girl. There aren't many like her. She's not indifferent. I think a little naive, but young." "By the way, how old am I?" Josh asked. "You're 32, Ron answered. Josh admitted that he liked Missy. Not in terms of looks, no, although she was very nice. He appreciated her actions, the way she helped him and put him in a cab, the way she ran to him and reunited him with his family. The brothers talked for a long time. Then Ron took Josh to their family. Tommy was also taken with them, and Missy was dropped off on the way home. When she said goodbye to her brothers, Ron scheduled an appointment for her to be examined and said that he would manage her pregnancy and take care of her. Tommy suddenly called her Mum. "Did you even get her number?" Ron asked when Missy had already left. Josh shook his head absent-mindedly. "Okay, it's in the medical records. She'll come tomorrow, and I'll put in a good word for you." He winked. "And you are indeed a brother." Josh smiled. They were very similar. They had the same eyes, smile, manners, the same squint when they smiled, and sometimes even the same thoughts. The parents were almost speechless when they saw their sons on the doorstep. Mother cried and father laughed with happiness. Josh was almost strangled in a loving embrace. He did not remember them, but he also felt a connection. All this time he lived with the idea that perhaps he had no loved ones. Since no one was looking for him, and there were no ads with his face around the city, he wondered who he was and how he had lived. Everything he had forgotten, his brothers and parents told him, and he listened to them as if revisiting his life and imagining it. That day everything changed. The paths of Missy and Josh abruptly merged into one, changing direction. It was as if they were walking towards each other and, upon finding themselves at the same point, turned together, merging into a single entity. There was not a day that Missy and Josh did not talk. Although the girl lost her job, she gained something much more valuable that day. She had a good friend, and a man who was in love with her. Missy called Josh every day, and they'd walk together. Tommy persistently called her Mum. Josh returned to his apartment. It turned out that he had a luxurious 4-room apartment in the city centre and a business that was still running. His memory never returned, but he went to the police and the investigation started anew. It wasn't until a few weeks later that some fragments of memories began to resurface. In the end, the investigation found out who wanted to eliminate him. It was Mrs. Goldsmith, Mrs. failed mother-in-law. By chance, the investigation fell into the hands of the most principled person in town. Another stroke of luck helped him find some irrefutable evidence that proved that Mrs. Goldsmith personally ordered the hit on Josh. A mercenary who often carried out dirty work for their family turned her in. He was afraid of a life sentence and confessed to all the dirty deeds of Mrs. Goldsmith. She received a 17-year sentence in a penal colony. Meanwhile, the delivery date was approaching. Missy went to the clinic where Ron worked and soon gave birth to 2 wonderful baby girls. Josh didn't leave her side, and Tommy also wanted to visit. During this time, Missy became very attached to them. She didn't agree to move in with him before, but Josh insisted that after giving birth, she must live with him. He set up a nursery for them, bought a stroller and a crib for the twins. Gradually the ice melted. With Josh, Missy remembered what trust, care and responsibility meant. Just before discharge, the door of the room opened and Paul entered. Missy raised her eyebrows. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here to talk." After exchanging meaningful phrases, Missy suggested to the uninvited guest to get straight to the point of his visit. "My mum, as you know, is in jail. She won't be bothering us any more. I wanted to come to you, but she wouldn't let me. She's very bossy. You realise that, don't you? But now there are no more obstacles. Our family has no money either. I got a job as a manager. We have a normal family. I've rented a one-bedroom place, but we'll have to leave the kids in an orphanage for now. You know what I mean? We can't keep them with us now, but when things get back to normal, we'll take them away. No, don't think anything. I want children. It's just not the time. There are no conditions or money." Missy laughed, frowned. "Did I say something funny?" "Yes," she smiled. "Get out." Paul clenched his jaws and left the room. She never heard from him again. The twins were born tiny. Janelle and Cheryl stayed in the hospital for a long time. When Missy finally was allowed to take them home, Josh came for her and took them to a new home, to a new life. He himself collected all her things from that tiny rented room. Missy never appeared there again. Now she lived in a spacious apartment in the centre of the city. The girls grew up little by little, and Tommy adored them, considering them his own sisters. And a year later, Missy and Josh got married. According to the documents, his name was Scott. His parents still called him Scott, but he retained the rest. Most of his acquaintances called him Josh. I got used to this new name. I got attached to him. Scott's life was left behind, and Josh's life began. I like it. He never remembered anything about his past. There were occasional fragments of memories. Doctors said that his memory might still return, but Josh did not dwell on the past, as he made many mistakes in it. Ron told him that he used to be focused on business, obsessed with money, and that he rarely visited his parents because of this. He was afraid of relationships, as he saw all women as only interested in his wealth. Now he's different. His family, relatives, and loved ones are his priority. He no longer gets involved in dubious ventures, and he doesn't work himself to exhaustion. He hurries home because the most important thing in his life is his family. When his twins were 2 years old, Missy got pregnant again. This time they had a boy, and Ron became the godfather once again.